On many occasions, President Duma Boko has made it clear that he will not fire people from their jobs on the basis of their affiliation or association with the Botswana Democratic Party, which ruled this country for 58 years. Today, we are going to consider whether, as the former president, Sekitimela Masilo, once said, whether the decision he is making isn't a matter of being foolishly, or rather very brave or very foolish. Very foolish or very brave, in that this might end up being something that is going to usher or bring him results that he never anticipated. Some argue that you cannot make changes using the same people that created the situation that you are trying to address. But in the studio today, I'm having here with me one of the luminary names within the small community of political analysts, is the UB Professor Zibani Maundeni. You know the name very well. We're here to discuss this issue of the position that Re Boko has taken. Professor Zibani Maundeni. So thank you very much for gracing this studio to talk about this issue. I said, you will remember this, former president once said, he said, the decision he took, said they were signaling whether it was a matter of whether he was being very brave or very foolish. Is the position by President Boko to say that I'm going to retain all the civil servants, top civil servants, as they were, as they served the previous governments? Is this something that he might regret eventually?
we don't know. But actually, when you mention Ramasiri, he was following almost the same route. Masiri, I interviewed him sometime, and he told me during his time, he was willing to appoint BNF-associated people into senior government positions, into permanent secretaries and other things. As long as that person was delivering, he had no problems with that. This was before very partisan people came into power and make sure for the people who are close to the BDP only. I think it's a good move that we are all Botswana. We are all working for this country. If you have competencies in whatever area, then you should be allowed to perform your duties without difficulties, provided you don't sabotage the government. That is the danger that could face the president. But as long as he has control over what they are doing, I don't think he has anything to worry.
Okay, let me then ask you this. Do you think then the government of President Duma Boko has the tact or has a strategy to identify those who will be all out to sabotage a government? Because that possibility, if it's always lacking, the question now is, can they identify such people?
Akere has an intelligence unit that is supposed to perform that role, to see who is doing what and things like that. As long as the intelligence is working properly for the goodness of the country, they would be able to alert him. This candidate, we have suspicions over his dealings. We suspect he's sabotaging instead of performing his duties. Mm-hmm. And he will act accordingly. He's a lawyer, remember. He will not just fire somebody or end somebody's contract for no reason. They have to be good reasons why somebody would lose their job. So he's comfortable.
So you think he's in power, not PS permanent secretaries? You do remember that in the past, even during the time of Elijah Lehoila, when he started something they called Deadwood, the members then, including even, I remember that Rekidikule said, permanent secretaries are more powerful than ministers. You think that situation is not existing today?
Ministers are appointed by the president. So are permanent secretaries. It's an old problem. Even during Srete's time, Srete Kama, a minister would have problems with a permanent secretary. Sometimes it is the minister who would be transferred from that ministry instead of the permanent secretary. If the permanent secretary is doing a good job according to the president, and the president is happy with his performance, and it is the minister who has difficulties working with the permanent secretary, the minister would be transferred. So you can see, it depends on what the president has a free leeway, where you can deploy a permanent secretary wherever, or you can deploy a minister wherever.
Yeah, I wanted you to just, let's we wrap this up, to just compare that to what the people in the party are saying, and the general voters or citizens who say, hey, we gave you power to make a change, and now the change is only seen in cabinet.
I know people are in a hurry. They want to see change of staff. But remember the ruling coalition has been out of power for a long time. You don't want to come into power with new ministers and new permanent secretaries, and everybody is in the dark. They don't know what they're doing. It's preferable that he allows those who were already there to continue, to guide so that they know where things are.
Okay.
After that, then he can. All
right. Let's move on to something else. President Boko again, when he talks about members of parliament, the performance of members of parliament, is very clear that he says that he expects them to be doing far more than they are doing. His worry is here, that parliamentarians are there to make laws. And for him, they are now raising motions, passing motions, asking questions, and he says this dilutes what they're exactly there for. You agree with him? But before you answer that, let's just take a clip at this, just so that we can call to mind exactly what he said.
And I raise this question here because I want you to put pressure on Parliament, on your members of Parliament, your representatives, the politicians. Put pressure on them and say, the reason we are in this quagmire is because you folks are not doing your job. You are not passing laws for the order, peace, and good governance of this country. You are not passing laws that make it easy for us to do business. You are not doing your job. And so you see a lot of showboating taking place on the floor of Parliament, a lot of grandstanding, a lot of intellectual vacuity. People not doing what they're supposed to be doing, asking questions, moving motions. What motions? What questions?
That's the president. What's your position on that? Is he spot on?
No, I wouldn't say. The duty of Parliament is to pass laws, as well as to oversee the work of the government. There have to be an oversight over his government, whether the government is delivering services or not. Usually what happens is members of Parliament, they are representatives of their constituencies. They are not just there in Parliament to make laws, but to represent their people. And their people want to see them representing them. And that evidence comes through questions and motions and things like that. But the important thing is, for Parliament to make laws, it is the executive that must bring bills to them. Repeal this bill or pass this bill and things. If the executive is not bringing anything to them, they can't pass laws. The politics of Botswana is such that the executive is the one that initiate bills, and then the Parliament will debate those bills. In the absence of bills, then they can fool around and.
Okay, let's move on. But I just wanted to remind you that somebody will say, look, parliamentarians do also have something called a private members bill. When he says they should make rules, doesn't he also refer to that if the executive is not bringing laws, you make laws?
No, I don't know. But you see, as a new government, they are the ones who wants to chart a new direction. Parliament does not know which direction they want to go. They are the ones who must bring bills before Parliament for Parliament to consider and pass.
I also just exhaust this part by asking, would there be any other thing? Do you think the president has any other thing that he's thinking besides questions that parliamentarians can hold the executive to account? If all they do is make laws, how then can they hold government accountable? Any other way?
Yeah, that becomes difficult. I gotta, you know, Katswanelo, the president should be participating in the question and answer session of Parliament. We know they've changed the laws to exclude him from participating, but in a proper functioning parliamentary democracy, he should be sitting in Parliament and answering questions so that they ask him directly and he responds to that. Now we've corrupted our democracy somehow. He's free to, Kama used to go to the gym when Parliament was meeting. And that's unfortunate.
And maybe just on that, would you say that saying these things about parliamentarians, does that mean that he has exhausted platforms where he faces them and tells them, and now he's probably being frustrated? Or he's just ignoring that he should be talking to them first? Do you think he's talked to them and he's frustrated?
I don't know. I don't know whether he has spoken to them or one would expect to instead of going public, he could go to the speaker, tell him, I think now you are not focusing on the right things, so the speaker can alert his people. Hey,
okay. Let's conclude on this point. President, we've seen one of the newspapers saying that there's instability within the UDC, that some MPs are questioning the president, questioning government, and now suggesting that this is a bad thing to happen to the party. Someone says, no, you are getting used to the real democracy, that inner democracy in a party that you've not been used to, especially within a ruling party. What's your position?
I agree. We are aware this is a coalition government.
Yeah.
Usually in a coalition government, the parties that are involved will not be satisfied with the way things are happening. Who is given ministerial position, for instance, BNF would prefer and so on. And then you have to accommodate the other political parties. There is that likelihood, people within the BNF, for instance, would be dissatisfied with certain things and would want to push the president in certain directions. It's expected. It's expected in a coalition government.
Nothing should be raising.
Nothing unusual.
Nothing unusual. And the president also seems to prefer an unconventional approach. I mean, doing things the unconventional way, the ways that people have not been used to. Some say that his speeches are not scripted. Should there be any worry, or we should get used to something totally new to signal that this is a new government?
I'm not aware that he's writing his own speeches, but Thabo Mbeki used to do that. If you have a president who is gifted, who understands many of these things, and he can do them himself, we should be comfortable.
Just in 2 words, as you close, I'm going to ask you, are you so far satisfied about the performance of both the president and indeed the ruling party?
I listened to him yesterday, talking about the audit and other things. It's promising.